All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 3 of the Coy's Diesel Podcast. I'm Chris Cagle, the co-host. My friend right here, Coy Redmond, our famous host here in South Louisiana. We're getting a little cool weather going right now. We got 2 bum guys behind the microphone, a right knee over here, a right ankle over there, but we were just talking. We ain't got time to be injured, right? We ain't got time. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to give us any breaks. So we're here. We're going to battle through it, and I think we're going to really enjoy today's topic. If you're a 2003 to 2007 Ford lover, Coy's going to really break down the 6.0 turbo for you guys and really take us in and take us on a journey. So if you're a Ford guy, you have a truck in those year range, stay tuned right now, lock in, and Coy, that's what we're going to do right now. Why don't we jump into what are we looking at right here? Like, give us a little, dive us into what we're going to be doing right here and what we're exactly looking at.
All right, so these 2 pieces of the turbo at a whole, I took them apart so we could explain exactly what's going on inside the turbo, because a common question we get these days, and since the 6.0 come out, when this turbo sticks or whatnot, you call the customer, get it approved to clean it, and they don't quite understand what you're doing, because most people that think of a turbo, they think of a compressor wheel and they think of an exhaust wheel. They don't think about the electronic portion and the vanes. So today I'm going to explain, what the vanes do and how they're controlled and how all this fits together. And what you're looking at here, this is a brand new Garrett replacement for a 04 to 07. 03 is a little different. The exhaust housing's different with your bolt-in placement, but the theory and operation and turbo itself is the same. So basically, what we have going on here is you have a old solenoid that is controlled by the computer on the truck and is given a message to get power and to close the vanes and open the vanes based on back pressure and other sensors on the engine. And
that's a lot of things people just forget. Like, they think it's all engine. They think it's all automotive related, and they forget a lot of the electronics that go into these sophisticated turbos, don't they?
Correct. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So basically what happens is you have, PCM controlled solenoid we talked about. You got oil injected through the oil feed, and then all that works together. And then you have this arm that moves when it's told to. Okay? So that's this side of the turbo. So this is the side that the magic happens on.
I feel like I'm back in chemistry class in high school, by the way, Coy. Kind of got like a frog out. We're about to dissect something.
Right, yeah, man. So basically what you got here is you got a bunch of vanes, and you got what you call a unison ring. Well, that arm I showed you over here, right here, is what moves this unison ring when it's told to. So when it's all the way open, you got a larger, in theory, turbine wheel on your exhaust side, and then you have a tighter one, which is the smaller one. And, I guess you're asking yourself, so what's the purpose of this? What is the benefit of this? Well, the benefit is whenever this is closed and you're sitting at a red light and you're going to take off, you're going to have nice throttle response coming out the hole. And then when you speed up, it's slowly going to open up. It's going to take some of that drive pressure off the engine and make it a happier engine. And it's going to perform like it should. And when you slow down or when it demands more throttle, it's going to tighten back up to give you that throttle response. So basically your turbo is changing sizes as you're driving, whether you know it or not. The turbine stays the same, but your unison ring is changing the size by moving. So this is all fine when it's working like it's supposed to, but when it's not, we get complaints from customers, well, I take off from red light now, I'm blowing black smoke. Right. I'm over boosting, I'm under boosting, I'm not getting the power I used to be. Well, this is what's happening. Eventually, if these vanes start sticking from carbon buildup, this thing doesn't move like it's told to. The computer's telling it to move, but it's not actually moving. So that's when you get codes like a 299 underboost code, or you get an overboost code on some year models depending on calibration. So sometimes we tear them down, we can fix them, we can pull the unison ring out, you can put a new one in if it's wore out from being moved and being stuck. Sometimes we have to replace the whole turbocharger depending on what's damaged in here.
That's what I was going to get to next. The classic takeoff from the red light, and the immediate response is something's broke. Well, what's the worst thing that individual driver can possibly do over the next day, 48 hours, 3 days when they feel something wrong they think it's just a quick little deal. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Maybe. What are some of the things that, if once you feel this, what's the next step you should probably be doing?
I mean, the next step is to get into a shop and get it checked out, because there's really nothing they can physically do.
That's what I was going to get at.
There's just nothing they could do. You literally have to tear it apart, and there's nothing we can really tell you until we get it apart and know what's damaged, to know whether we're going to need a turbocharger or we're just going to need to use some ring in a clean job. So it really just depends on what it looks like when we get this housing off and inspect it.
And this is still one of your favorite turbos, though, with that Ford. I mean, I know you're a Ford guy, and that 2003 to 2007 models is, I know that's one of your babies. What are some of the things that people can do, in regards to, I've had the truck for a while, I don't necessarily know how much life expectancy has been put on this turbo. Is that something that comes across when you're buying a Ford truck and you're asking some of those questions, just for somebody that's watching, about to buy a Ford 2003 to 2007, never had one before? What are some of the questions that they can ask about the specific part of that Ford before they purchase that truck?
Are we talking about turbos, or are we talking about everything?
That's what I was going to say, because it seems like a big intricate part, right? If you're going to buy something and somebody's got an outdated turbo in there and they know something's wrong with it, and you don't really know what to listen for, or to that's where I was kind of getting at. Somebody that's watching that's a little novice on the scale.
Well, the easiest thing to check when you're going to buy a truck, if you want to see if it's been maintained, first thing you could do is start by pulling the air filter and pull the pipe that goes to the compressor side of this turbo.
There you go.
And you can inspect these blades here. If the blades are damaged or nicked, that means that the truck hasn't been properly maintained per the air filter, okay? That tells you that whatever went through here went into the engine. So I would walk away from that truck, because that tells you right there that they didn't take care of it there, so they definitely probably didn't change the oil on time. So I would start by looking at the compressor wheel. That'll tell you a lot. That'll tell you how clean it is. It's going to be dirty in most cases, different shades, because this one's new.
No doubt.
You're looking for damage. You're looking for, deformed or bent or
That's what I was
pitted.
getting at.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was
damage.
getting at. Yep,
and
absolutely.
Another thing is, no one knows the life expectancy of the turbo, because that's a lot of factors. That's pulling, that's do you regular drive, what do you do with the truck? And then on top of that, how often do you change your oil? If you're changing your oil every 10,000 miles and you're in conventional oil, then you're probably going to need a turbo sooner than you should. So I would suggest no more than 5,000 with conventional. If you're running some special synthetic, and do whatever they recommend, and do oil analysis if you're not sure. So, but yeah.
So before we get on to the maintenance part, I know there's a rigorous maintenance schedule that you like to recommend, but anything else that just pops in your brain in regards to this turbo before we kind of go over some of the maintenance? Anything that you've seen that maybe you didn't know 5 years ago that you know now? Anything that can enlighten somebody, or did we kind of cover it all right there?
I think we covered it.
I think we did too. Just wanted to make sure.
Now, if you got guys out there that don't want to replace your turbocharger with a stock size turbo, you do have options. You have a lot of options out there, actually. The option we like is KC turbos. We've used them for years. We've had great success with them.
That's right.
They offer anything from a stage 1, which is good, up to 550 horsepower, all the way up to a stage 3. So it just depends on what's done to your truck. Obviously when you exceed the stage 1 level on the turbo, you're going to need more fuel and things like that. So there is different options out there for more power with the same reliability in the turbocharger. So you don't have to go to a conventional non-VGT turbo. And what I mean by that is you can switch your turbo out on your truck to get rid of this vanes and such and so forth. But the problem is you won't have that nice smokeless takeoff. You're going to have probably a smokier truck with more lag, depending on if you have the right setup for that turbocharger. That's the beauty of these. They adjust the size for what you're doing, and it makes it seamless and nice as long as you're running the right setup and you don't have any issues with the with your setup.
That's great stuff. And price range, as we get into this next part of what we're going to talk about, you really gave a lot of good details here. A lot of people watching now. The Corey Redmond recommendation, obviously we don't really know the life expectancy because we don't really know the driver. However, your Corey Redmond recommendation to keep it in as great shape as possible, to make sure that you do as little damage as possible. And if you do happen to be one of the drivers that do a lot of damage, what kind of costs are we looking at? Maybe go through that life cycle of proper maintenance, keeping it clean. If you don't, here's what it's going to lead to.
If you don't, there's many things it can lead to. Back to oil. Oil is the most single important thing on the 6.0 that exists, because oil injects into the injectors to tell them when to fire based on the high pressure oil pressure. And this turbo is lubricated by oil, which spins much faster than the engine does.
That's right.
So the first thing that's going to be affected by nasty oil is the injectors and the turbo, which are, the two most expensive things on the motor besides the motor itself. So I mean, it's very important. So what I tell people is maintenance is cheap. Oil is cheap. Injectors aren't going to be cheap. Injectors, you're going to spend $3,000 parts and labor, roughly. Turbo, you're going to spend thousands. By the time you get parts and labor. So I mean, you can save yourself a lot of money over time just doing regular maintenance. Obviously, there's still freak failures. You're still going to have other problems, but most of the problems people see is due to lack of maintenance, especially with the injectors getting clogged up and nasty from not changing the oil properly. So
that's right.
Maintenance is key, and maintenance is much cheaper than replacing these high dollar components.
That's right. And what is that high dollar? I mean, just to throw a round number out there, if we got to replace one of those bad boys, what are we looking at?
These?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, you're looking at a couple grand.
Couple grand?
By the time it's all said and done, parts, labor, tax, the whole 9 yards, depending on which option you choose. Obviously, the cheapest option is going to be, just a factory new replacement from Garrett, or you step up to the different levels of KC, then you change the whole game.
10-4.
Because depending on what you choose, you may need more than just a turbo. So each situation is going to be different depending on what the customer needs and what the customer wants.
Perfect. And look, that's what Coy's here for. If you're in our area and you're watching and you've never become a partner of Coy, that's his whole goal here is bring your truck in. If you don't know anything about it, it's okay. I'm that guy. Right? That's why I got him. So we want you to enjoy your diesel truck. We want you to get everything you want out of your diesel truck, whether you're using it for leisure or for business. So if you have those questions and you want a recommendation on a routine maintenance schedule to keep things like this running perfect, or just to even understand how to get the most out of your truck, that's what Coy and his team does here. That's why we're here in the shop. We want to see the guys working. We want to make sure you guys know that we're here for you. As much as this is educational, Coy's also here for you to get the most out of your diesel truck. So we didn't forget about the GM and Chevy guys. We didn't forget about the GM Chevy guys. We are a little biased to Ford, both of us up here, but we didn't forget about y'all. Two great brands, two good diesels, and we're going to touch on those topics.
Don't forget about the Cummins guys.
Look, don't forget about the Cummins guys, that's right. So we're going to break it down per brand, right? We're going to knock it out, and that way, if you just want to watch the Ford episode, you just watch the Ford episode. If you're a GM, Cummins only type of guy, you have those episodes. You don't have to watch this episode. So I think Coy wanted to do that, and I like the way that we're going to break that down. So what are we going to touch on next? You want to go right to the Cummins one next? Is that your
I think that'll be our next one.
So on episode 4, we'll knock out the Cummins, talk a little bit more about those issues. Again, 2 shops, one here in Gonzales on Airline Highway, the heavy duty down to Livingston Frost, and then you can visit our website at coysdiesel.com, coysdieselhd.com. Follow our Facebook page, like our YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube. Look forward to seeing you next time.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. And you can contact us anyway. We got a chat path on our website. We got Facebook. We got email. There's so many ways to contact us. If you have any questions, concerns, email us, catch us on social media, and look at us on the website. You can chat and we'll get right back to you. Thanks.
Appreciate it, guys. See y'all next time.